Stuck to his points that he wanted to get across, which was public safety, economic development, affordable housing. He stuck to those three, pillars in his campaign, and that's what he campaigned on. And whether he needed Lenny Curry or not, he got the message that he thought he wanted to get out, and it fell short.
But one of the things that Lenny Curry administration is going to point to, one of their achievements was pension reform. But Daniel Davis is running on a platform of ripping out pension reform, along with Donna Deegan. They were on the same page on this. So what do you think, Daniel? What about the idea that he didn't utilize Curry? Is that on purpose, accident? Should he, or did he make the right call?
Oh, it definitely was on purpose. I think Lenny Curry, if Lenny Curry was popular, and they thought that Lenny Curry would be effective in this campaign, he'd be lockstep next to him in every single campaign ad, every single walk, and all the literature. But instead, they used T.K. Waters, and I think that was a strategic move from their viewpoint because they thought he would be a more effective endorser for him going down the line. But ultimately, I think voters really didn't hear anything of substance from his campaign. It was a hard right turn that he took after that first round election. A lot of voters, especially MPA voters that may be new to Jacksonville or are politically agnostic, really wanted to hear something from a candidate that was going to be representative of their needs and what they're seeing in the community. Donna was able to kind of convey that with the unity message that she consistently put out there for a year, but Daniel never really got a chance to do it.
Yeah, Kevin, Daniel Davis ran to the right leading up to this election. If he would, there's a thought out there. If he would have stayed being just sort of the business guy, trying to build downtown, and not gone as far right as it would appear, he'd be in better shape. But he seemed to go far right on that. Why do you think he chose that tact?
Well, I think there's Republicans that are far right, that are moderate, and that are just right of center. And you got to talk to all your voters. You can't just talk to one group. So the message that public safety is important, and some of the things that were carried through his campaign are the ones that the campaign thought was going to be the victory.
Now, Daniel, you talked about T.K. Waters. I mean, listen, Daniel Davis held on to him like a security blanket through the
I thought T.K. Waters was running for mayor.
I thought so too. But with that being said, T.K. Waters wasn't running for mayor. Right? Daniel Davis was. It didn't work. Why didn't that work? Because by all accounts, T.K. Waters is a pretty popular guy.
Because at the end of the day, T.K. Waters was never going to be on the ballot. People were going to have to make that decision to willingly want to vote for Daniel, and he never was able to convey the message as to why they should vote for him. They kind of use scare tactics, negative messaging to kind of get people to be really scared of Donna Deegan and try to solidify the Republican base to vote for him. But I think with what we saw in the midterms and what we're seeing now, negative campaigning only takes you so far. And these results are the proof of the pudding.
So what happens now with politics in Jacksonville? We have all these negative ads going on. This didn't work this time around. So, Kevin, does this change? Is this a watershed moment now going forward?
Well, going forward for me, I'm looking forward to governing. Looking forward to getting back to what we do as a legislative body at the city council. Looking at the new races or the new candidates that have won tonight, which I'm sure we'll get into later. But as far as the negative ads, might be time maybe to reshift. Might be time. I mean, you've seen it this time. It was a shock, and we'll push on.
I know it's early, but let's look in the crystal ball here, right? Our magic 8 ball. Deegan does her 4 years. Who are the Republicans now going to put up against her in 4 years? I mean, you look on the bench. Who's on the bench right now?
It's a good question. I mean, we've got a lot of great leaders that are in their second term of the city council. Council President Freeman is a great leader and someone who I think could carry the city. I haven't talked to anyone about this. Obviously, we just
you weren't expecting this to happen,
yeah,
right?
we weren't. Yeah, that's why we're getting a little deer in the headlights. You understand, though. No, I think there's a lot of great candidates out there. Our bench is pretty strong. We've got a lot of experience. We've got a lot of people who have either been in council or been at the state rep level that can motivate people and bring people together.
So you like to go through the weeds, Daniel, right? All right. So we
like the details.
You like the details. All right. So I'm gonna put you on the spot. Give me the 3 things from tonight that stand out to you about why Donna Deegan won this race. The 3 things, like, is particular precincts that won? We know about MPAs. Was it like the beaches, the South Side, the North Side came out strongly? How did she win it?
Recognized brand. It was hard for them to kind of redefine her into an image that people just weren't willing to accept was actually her. I think that was a misdirection that they unfortunately didn't get. Her ability to position herself as a unity candidate kind of preventing Daniel from being able to do that, that really gave her that lane in the middle that gave license for moderate Republicans, MPAs, and for Democrats to vote for her. And after the end of the day, I think with everything that we've seen in the city in the last 4 years, indictments, the sale of JEA, Lot J, the potential stadium redo, I think people really want to change. And Donna presented herself as that change agent, whereas Daniel presented himself as the agent of the same. And in an election cycle like this, being the same of the previous administration is not the most convincing reason for people to vote for you.
Kevin, you buying or selling that?
Oh, was I listening?
Don't tune them out, man. We got a long way to go.
I know. Rephrase it. What were your points again, man?
Are you nodding off on me? Come on, man. I can snap out of it. We make me like Sharon have to come across and smack you?
Please don't
Agent
do
of
that.
change,
Agent of
recognized brand, unity candidate.
Yeah, I think the Davis campaign just missed the middle, right? The MPAs, I think, were the real key here in the swing voters, and focusing on trying to win back the base after such a bloody primary, I think, really is what caused it.
So the question now is also, Deegan, all right, how is she going to govern, right? So you have a city council, and the results came in tonight, and the way they broke is there's still a Republican majority on city council. You're one of those Republicans.
Yeah.
Is she going to run into static, you think, trying to get across any of her agenda?
So, I mean, we've got an agenda to push forward, which is building up a great downtown, making our streets safe, continuing to look for improvements on affordable housing, attacking some of our issues with quality of life and homelessness. So if her goals align with kind of the current goals of those, which I don't think anyone can argue are too partisan, then I think we can work together. But if we start getting a kind of a radical leftist push, if you will, from the mayor's office, then having a majority council might cause us, or Republican council might cause us to butt heads legislatively and trying to get things across. So it'd be interesting to see how that all shakes out.
Well, that was some of the push and all the ads about her, right? You be careful, it's going to turn Jacksonville into California, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
Well, I believe that Democrats do have a general position of trying to sometimes defund the police and rework the way law enforcement works, when Republicans would rather have more officers and do hardcore kind of crime fighting. And I think we need to keep those perspectives and keep funding our sheriff's office. And if this is something that doesn't come forth in the first budget, which we'll see in a couple months, then we're going to start splitting hairs. So.
Daniel, you say what? I see you have an expression on your face. There's a certain smirk going on.
This is the reason why he lost. It's just not true. Democrats on council resoundingly have voted for every single budget that Lenny Curry has proposed that has increased funding to JSO. Donna Deegan and Daniel Davis both agreed that they wanted to increase the number of officers on the street so that way we can deal with the response times, because no one should have to wait 20 minutes in order for them to really get help if they're in danger. So I think there's going to be some symmetry in some of the issues that she's going to bring forth, specifically when she has to kind of present that first budget in 2 weeks. And I think there's some common ground that she'll be able to work with the new council on. And she's pragmatic. She showed that in the message that she conveyed to voters, and I don't think that's going to change when she's in the mayor's office.
So, Kevin, you have a rebuttal on that.
Yeah, it's a wait and see, right? We've got to see. She'll be in office. She'll start working on her budget and start working on her transition immediately. And, I've never actually met her. So I'll have a chance, hopefully, to sit down and I can feel her out and get to know her as a person and get to know her goals for the city. And if they align with mine and the base of voters that I represent in my district, then I think everyone can work together and push Jacksonville forward. And I hope that's how it happens.
You guys should get coffee.
I think we should.
We should make that all happen. We should get all you guys together.
I think we need a bourbon after tonight.
A bourbon? Yeah, way things broke for you guys, no doubt about it. I mean, so listen, there's so much to go through of what happened tonight. It's just again, just to recap for those of you joining us right now here on ActionNewsJax.com, our mobile app, Facebook. Are we on MySpace too? Maybe?
What's MySpace?
What do you mean, what's MySpace? Come on now, don't pretend you don't know what MySpace is. All that stuff. Do we have 56K modems out there? Anyway, here are the results from tonight. Donna Deegan, 52% of the vote. Daniel Davis, 48%. Really not close at all. Coming into this, again, the thought was Daniel Davis was the favorite. He outspent Donna Deegan in mayoral campaign $8 million to $2 million from soup to nuts, but it didn't translate into votes. So Donna Deegan, 52% of the vote. Daniel Davis, 48%. Really, again, not a close race. And again, for those of you just joining us, Daniel Henry here. the head of the Duval County Democratic Party, Kevin Carrico. He is with City Council, a Republican, who's crying in his bourbon tonight. What's a scotch?
Whatever goes with the cigar, whoever's pouring, it doesn't matter.
I'll join you in the cigar. I'll give you that.
So, we talked a little bit about this before, but again, for those of you just joining us, so when you do the postmortem on this, Daniel, well, let me ask you, Kevin, when you do the postmortem on this, where do you point to what went wrong?
Yeah, well, I'd like to see, how many Republicans we can actually determine did not vote for the Republican mayoral candidate. That would be the biggest surprise to see if that's, because, there's a couple here, a couple there in every race, people that are registered one way but vote another way. But tonight, it's a lot more than just a couple. There were a lot. So to kind of see where they are and if there's some polling that can happen afterwards, so people can be interviewed and say, hey, what was it? Why did you decide to vote Democrat as a registered Republican? We'd love to kind of get that data and information. And then those MPAs, they grow more and more and more every election. That's something that all parties and all campaigns are going to have to pay attention to in the future in Jacksonville and in the national scene as well.
Yeah, is there a lesson learned here? Because look, Jacksonville has more and more people moving here from different parts of the country. It's not the traditional voter here in Jacksonville anymore. So what lesson do we take from that with all these new people that are coming here? Clearly, there could be more Democrats than we thought.
I think what the message that I take from this is that we shouldn't be as partisan when it comes to our local races. Ultimately, Donna presented herself as that unity candidate to be able to bring people together. That resonating message was really effective for us to be able to get not only Democrats to show up to vote, but MPAs and some reluctant Republicans to vote for her. And if you are a voter out there that is just looking for some change to come to City Hall and for you to really be represented and for your issues to matter, Donna was that candidate to be able to get you over that finish line.
And we talked about it before, Kevin. So where does the blame lie, right? Does it lie with the way the campaign was run? Is it because Daniel Davis didn't attach himself to Lenny Curry? Is it because maybe he didn't have a strong incumbent to attach himself to that was very popular? What do you think?
You're going to try to get me to play the blame game all night. I want to get forward on looking forward and looking what's next. Let's put it in the past and let's move on. Let's
yeah,
figure it out.
But if you don't know your past, you don't know your future, Kevin.
Yeah, we got to get to the bottom of all that. We're
doing an autopsy right now on ActionNewsJax.com. This is a live one.
Do you hold the PhD for that, sir?
Well, I have a PhD in a lot of things. That's right. Listen, I know this. I know that this didn't go the way it was supposed to go for the Republicans tonight, all right? You don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure that out, okay? So people want to know, there's Republicans out there who can't believe this, right? They get the mailers. It tells them, hey, listen, get out there, support your candidate. They didn't do it. Why? Why didn't they do it?
I wish I knew the answer. I hope they did. I wish they would have, and we'll continue to learn from this and grow the city and see what happens in the next set.
Well, can I give them some advice?
Oh, you're on.
You do this for a living, actually.
Democrats are getting their butt kicked in Duval County for a long time.
Yeah.
They didn't even have a candidate in 2019, but now you have advice. Go ahead.
Well, I was talking about that earlier. I started off my chairmanship right in that election. Don't hide your candidate. I think Donna was literally everywhere, no matter what the event was. Big, small, medium. She was in every church. She was in every community event. She was gathering petitions. She qualified by petition, which is something that no mayoral candidate has been able to do in a generation. She really put herself out there so that way people really heard who she was, why she was running, and what she would do if she would get elected. And if I give any advice to Republicans, I would just make sure when you have a candidate, actually be proud of the candidate you have and have some issues that people will be resonating with.
Do you think Daniel Davis, Kevin, should have been putting himself out there more? Do you think maybe he was ducking some things?
I don't think he was ducking. I think his strategy was to stay at the doors, and I think he spent a lot of time knocking on those doors. I think 5,000 is the number that he personally knocked on, so that's where he spent his time. That's where him and his campaign chose to spend the time out at the doors. Not obviously the most prolific place to be where everyone can see you at town halls and forums, but that's the sweat equity that's worked in the past. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we stuck to that, doors and dollars, like you said earlier, and it fell short.
It didn't happen,
no.
Right? So what does it say? Again, now we're going to get in the weeds for you out there, right? So there's people behind the scenes, your operatives that run these campaigns, right? And the guy who's running the campaign for Daniel Davis is Tim Baker. Okay, he ran the campaign for Lenny Curry both times. He's been around a lot of other campaigns. mover and shaker, right? The guy wins. You like him or hate him, the guy wins.
Until today.
Didn't win this one, right? Lost this one. So what does that mean for the political machine in Duval County?
Yeah, you've got to change. You've got to change the weaponry. If the weapons you were using before fail now, you've got to adapt. And, Baker's a smart guy. He's very resilient, personally, so I'm sure he will do all the analysis that we wish we had on air today to get the answers that we're looking for and pivot and move to another strategy and something that can work for the future of Republicans in this town and around the state.
Are Democrats dancing on the grave of Tim Baker tonight?
We're not. The only thing that we're dancing about is celebrating the fact that not only Donna Deegan won this election, but Joyce Morgan's going to the property appraiser's office. Jimmy Peluso won in District 7. Tawana Clark-Murray won re-election in 9. Rockman Johnson is going to City Council in District 14. So we have a lot to be proud of, and we're excited about those wins. But at the end of the day, this election was a message to everyone, regardless of whether or not you're a Democrat or Republican, that we're back. This county is solidifying blue. We've shown that consistently in the governor's race in 18, in the president's race in 2020, and we can finally put that win column in a local race as well.
So you're saying it's Blueval now?
It's always been it, but now we can proudly say it with the actual receipts.
I still say my Duval with a D, and there's an R hidden in there somewhere. Yeah, not dancing on any graves. Thank you for that. I thought we were about to transition. He started talking about the other races. I got excited. There are some other wins tonight on the Republican side. Chris Miller, Colonel Miller won a citywide election at large, so that's another Republican coming on council. And we had a highly contested Republican battle in District 2. In which Mike Gay defeated Lindsey Brock. That was a real close race. And Raul Arias in 11 defeated Raymond Day, the Democrat in that district. So there were some wins tonight that we can get into if we have time. But
we got all the time in the world. Let's talk about the property appraiser's race. How about that? Joyce Morgan,
yeah.
Jason Fisher. Morgan's numbers ran pretty along the lines of Donna Deegan. If I'm not mistaken, Daniel Henry, 51% for Morgan, 49% for Fisher. What do you take away from that?
They ran as a ticket. That's one thing that I wanted to make sure of as part of the chairmanship that I've kind of run over in this election, is to make sure that our candidates were running as a united force. Donna and Joyce really took that momentum and made sure that they were running together to take the lessons of what we learned in the past. And I think the results that we're kind of seeing shows that.
Fisher was running, joined with Ron DeSantis for this race, right? And of course, he's run for a lot of different offices, Jason Fisher. I've lost track, matter of fact. But he lost this one, and what do you take away from that?
yeah, he's won a lot of those races, too. He's served us as a school board member and served us as the House of Representatives for a couple terms. So, yeah, he has run some races and won them. Like Daniel said, though, top of the ticket usually dominates. So not to discredit anything from Joyce, because I know she worked hard. That's my colleague on City Council, so I'll give her congratulations when I see her in person at the next meeting. But Jason did have a different strategy than Daniel. He tied up to the DeSantis endorsement, which has been a very, very successful strategy in some previous races we've had in town, like April Kearney in the school board and Cayenne Michael. Republican representative from the Beaches who won some races with that DeSantis endorsement. So I thought that was a good strategy going into it as well. You have the endorsement. You saw that all over town with the commercial signs with both of them on it. So I thought that would be helpful in his race, but ultimately the top of the ticket decides it. So if Deegan wins by 4, I think Joyce won by 2. So he was able to close 2 points of that, but still didn't get the victory. We
can't talk about City Council without mentioning a Gaffney, right? It just goes hand in hand. And Reggie Gaffney Jr. is a winner tonight. He got about 52%, whatever, something close to that of the vote against Tamika Gaines-Holly. There you go. There's the number 52 to 48%. So we have another Gaffney on City Council. Is it the 4th one now, guys?
I think it's the 4th one, yeah.
4th one. Man, at some point, you're going to have all 19 seats at some point in Gaffney. So big victory for the Gaffneys tonight. No? What do you take away from that?
Yeah, the Gaffney brand is strong in Jacksonville, and Gaffney was able to raise dollars, or Junior, that is, was able to raise some dollars and get out there. It was going to be a tough race. I think Tamika Gaines-Holly put up a great fight, and she was out there doing the work and getting her message out as well. But at the end of the day, that Gaffney name says something, and I'm happy for Reggie that he pulled it out so he can come back for a full term. He's been on council just for a couple months after the special election, so we'll welcome him back. He's maybe going to get some sea legs and start doing some more leadership stuff, as we all do as we evolve in our role at City Hall.
Reggie Sr. is known to go back and forth depending on, sometimes which way the wind was blowing, whether Republicans or Democrats, what he was supporting. He definitely wasn't in line with one type of ideology. What do you expect kind of governance from Reggie Jr.?
I think now that he doesn't have a race that's right under him, I think he'll want to establish his own brand. When I've talked to him, I think he's really wanted to make sure that when he's been on council and he got the chance to be representative of this new district, that he really was able to kind of represent them in a way that was unique to him. I think he respects his father's legacy, but I think he really wants to create a new legacy for himself.
Okay, another race, Tyrone Clark Murray and Mike Muldoon. That was District 9 tonight. And Murray, Clark Murray holds on to her seat, right?
Yeah, she did.
Well, I'm looking at about 54%. I hope that's about the right number. And it is. There it is, 54% to 46 from Muldoon. He actually got some support from Brenda Priest-Jackson, right?
She did.
Brenda Priestley-Jackson. I was a little bit surprised. Am I the only one who was surprised by that? Am I like...
I was a little surprised too.
Right?
I'll give you that.
Why do you think BPJ went that way?
I can't speak for her in terms of why she supported Mike Muldoon, but what I can say is Republicans thought that District 9 was going to be an opportunity with the new shape after redistricting for them to kind of pick off a Democratic seat. But Tyrone Clark Murray has such amount of work that she's put in to her district even before she was elected to represent them. She really is one of those campaigners that spent a lot of time knocking on every single door to make sure that voters knew who she was and why she was running for re-election. And the result that you see, even though she was probably outspent 10-1, shows the result of that.
All right, so we're at about 8:30-ish right now, 8:28. And I'd like to welcome those of you just joining us for our ActionNewsJax.com coverage of election night, election 2023 in Jacksonville, where we had, hey, let's call it a major upset, right? Donna Deegan is the new mayor of Jacksonville. She beats Daniel Davis 52% to 48%. Really wasn't close when you look at it, at least based on what was expected in some regards, although there was a poll that came out yesterday that had Deegan winning. So take that for whatever it's worth. I'd like to welcome in at this time Daniel Henry, the party chair for the Democratic Party in Duval County, and Kevin Carrico. He is a Republican city councilman, District 4, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. I lose track of all the districts, so it's hard to know which district is what anymore these days. Sorry, guys. For those that are just joining us right now, let's revisit some of the topics we've been talking about tonight, and let's start with the mayor's race, the big one. Donna Deegan pulls it out, and Daniel Henry, it's a new day in Jacksonville for the Democratic Party, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, it is. Donna Deegan has been able to do something that a Democrat has been able to achieve in 8 years. That's win this race, not only winning it, but resoundingly winning it to show that she is the change agent that's going to be in City Hall. And I think the unity message that she was able to convey, the change agent message that she was able to convey, and the recognized brand that she was able to use really helped her get across the finish line. And the results that you see clearly show that she was able to get not only Democrats, but MPAs and Republicans to vote for her too.
And Kevin, when you look at tonight, it didn't go the way the Republicans wanted to go. One of the things that I thought was interesting was while Daniel Davis had the endorsement of Ron DeSantis didn't really seem to go out of his way for Daniel Davis when he was in town recently. Rick Scott came out, but not much from the governor. How much did that play a role in this tonight?
Well, the governor has a few things on his plate these days. As you know, the budget is on his desk and looking for approval, and possibility of seeking higher offices. So I don't think that's any shot or anything that the governor didn't spend a lot of time on the campaign trail. The party had a lot of support from other elected leaders, like you said. Senator Scott, former Governor Scott, was out here on Sunday. I was out there with him. We were all knocking on doors out on the west side and trying to rally the troops and rally support. So yeah, I don't throw blame over there.
But DeSantis was in town like a week ago, and they weren't conjoined at the hip for that event. Like I would have expected they would have been together. He would have thrown some love to him. Didn't happen though. Don't you find that surprising?
No, I mean I'm sure there was some love thrown that maybe we didn't see that didn't make action news.
But don't you want to show the love? I mean, he wasn't at the event, was he?
We've got the.
Am I wrong?
We've got the endorsement. And
I know. Am I missing something here?
You're not missing something.
Yeah.
I mean,
What do you think?
I think he didn't want to campaign for him.
Why do you think that is?
If he wanted to, he would. I mean, he just did a robocall in a Kentucky primary race for a gubernatorial candidate. I think if Ron DeSantis really wanted to put in the time, the effort, the money that he has. He did it in the school board races you saw in 22 with April Carney. He had a political rally for the candidates that he was supporting in the last cycle. He did a robocall for the candidates he was supporting in the last cycle. He donated money to them. You didn't see those same efforts, and you have to wonder why he didn't.
Is it because maybe Daniel Davis is attached more to Donald Trump in some respects? Maybe he's a Donald Trump supporter, and maybe that played a role in it at all. Maybe that was why the governor didn't come out and go out of his way. You say what?
No, I don't know that to be true at all. I can't get inside the governor's head. You know, I don't know why he chose.
I thought you have a front door, a pass into his head.
I am a Tallahassee guy. I go Knowles, but I don't
see.
spend a lot of time at the Capitol. I've got my own district to represent and our own city to run here in Jacksonville.
All right. So when we talk about this race, now going forward, Donna Deegan has to govern, right? And she has a budget put together in what, 2 weeks?
Yes, sir.
And that goes to City Council.
Well, not in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from when she gets sworn in.
Oh, I'm sorry, right. And that'll be July 1st. And then, so, I mean, it's a quick turnaround. So if you had to offer advice to the mayor-elect, what would it be?
Get a great staff. Just like any role and any leader has in any business, you got to have great people around you to support you, and you need institutional knowledge. She has got a heavy lift to learn the ins and outs of the city budget. You know, it's I think $1.8 billion last year just for the municipal side of it. We also have all the other authorities and things going through there. You add the school board, we're about $7 billion, and that's a lot. And there's a lot of people and a lot of moving parts. So she's going to need strong leaders in those cabinet roles, and I'd be very interested to see who those are, because those are the people that the council works with day and day. We don't have daily meetings or calls with the mayor. We talk to the mayor's staff about everything: legislative issues, budgetary issues, help in our districts. So there's a lot of relationships that need to be formed, and in order to move that city forward that we want to do, she's got a lot of learning. Drink it from a fire hose, we'll call it.
All right, yeah. Now, Daniel Henry, let's talk about that. So, she needs to surround herself with good people. She mentioned, in the debate about how she would hire somebody, get people around her when it comes to the stadium deal with the Jags, right? That's going to be one of the most important things she's going to have to do. If you're the Jags tonight, what do you think of this outcome?
I think the Jags are going to be safe regardless of who won the mayor's office, because they're going to have to negotiate a deal that's palatable to the public regardless. Daniel Davis was going to have to deal with the same issues that Donna Deegan's going to have to deal with a budget that she has to pass, deal with negotiations that she has to do with the Jaguars at Shad Khan on the stadium renovation, deal with the Florida-Georgia game negotiation that is coming down the pike as well. But she has made very clear for the administration that she's going to put together, it's going to include Democrats, Republicans, and MPAs. And I'm confident that she's going to put together a great team of people that will help her shepherd her through these issues.
How could she avoid the landmines and the mistakes that an Alvin Brown administration made way back when?
Don't forget who elected you. That's very clear. I think that's something that Alvin Brown forgot halfway through his mayoral campaign and his mayoral term. A lot of voters started to resent almost the feeling that he wasn't paying attention to them and the people that got him across the finish line. So if I have any advice for Donna going into this mayor's election, is don't forget why you got elected, who got you elected, and how you kind of expand on that to bring everyone together.
And Kevin, one of the things she's going to be dealing with is pension reform. She says she wants to change it back from what Curry did, just like what Daniel Davis did. How much of a heavy lift is that going to be?
That'll be huge. I mean, it's something that the police, I think, want. I'm not sworn to that, but it's hard to compete with some other organizations and police agencies around the state when they have that pension. That's a great selling point. So, Curry did a remarkable job of getting out of that hole and putting a plan together. But things change, economics change, and I think our police are looking for that pension to be able to recruit, and firefighters.
What is Mayor Lenny Curry's legacy?
Mayor Curry, 8 years in office. The blueprints for downtown are starting to be established. So although we didn't see all the buildings erected and all the things completed, there's a lot of foundation and a lot of momentum on that downtown that he's going to be able to point to and say, hey, this couldn't have happened without my term and what I did there. Pension reform was strong. We were in a financial disarray without that solution. And it might not have been the solution that everybody wanted, but it worked for the time. So he can point to that. And just...
Daniel, what do you think? What's his legacy?
not to be negative, but scorched earth politics. And I think that's one of the main reasons why we're seeing a different result in the mayor's election tonight. He started off as a moderate when he first got elected 8 years ago, but he definitely took a rightward turn and really kind of used the type of politics that almost felt like he was trying to destroy his political opponents. I think all of us have borne witness to some of his late night tweets that he's made towards people that I think most people can acknowledge aren't the best kind of representation from what you want to see from a city's chief executive. So I think the political book for his legacy is a little unfinished, but the negativity that came out of his mayoral duties, I think, something that we can't ignore.
Kevin, what do you think of that?
I mean, I think there are other positives we can look at as well. Getting the gas tax across the finish line is something that was very important to Mayor Curry with getting those additional dollars for upgrading our infrastructure. I think we got $100 million in parks and quality of life initiatives that are being spent now to improve. You know, we have the largest park system in the nation, I think, and we're trying to have the best, and so allocating those dollars for that. You know, we'll see what happens with the Skyway and the JTA dollars that come out of that on really creating a mass transit system that serves more than just you know, a couple blocks of downtown. So I think those improvements will come. So there's some good things.
The Skyway,
keeping it positive.
The Skyway to nowhere. So what does Lenny Curry do next?
If I was him, I'd take a vacation, spend some time with his family, and
I mean, he has a little bit of time to go, but yeah.
Once his term is out, I mean, the mayor's job is stressful. You know, anyone that gets elected at any level, your family and friends, they always go, "Are you going to be mayor? Are you going to be mayor?" That's a pretty stressful job. You are the chief executive officer of a city of a million people. And there's a lot of things to keep you up at night. There's a lot of things that make you worry and stress. So take a vacation, regroup. He's got, you know, private sector experience in the accounting world. He's got a lot of experience in the political world. He could do a lot of things, and I wish him well.
Daniel Henry, so what happens now with Daniel Davis? He goes back to the chamber, right? Or wrong?
Presumptively. I'm sure they'll have him back.
But he ran a campaign that, I don't know if that aligns with a lot of what the chamber represents, at least the people I've talked to.
They're going to have to make some decisions. I think it was kind of wonky, not wonky, but kind of weird, the arrangement they created when he first announced that he was running for mayor, that if he were to lose, he would get a guarantee to get his job back. Whether they honor that commitment, time will tell. But you're right, it's definitely going to be hard for him to kind of pivot out of the creature he's created of himself for the last 4 months.
Hey, Kevin, what do you think? How does he transition back to that role, which was more of a, a vanilla role, kind of a friend of everybody, compared to what we saw for the last few months?
I think he'll be great back in that role. He's a visionary guy. He believes in Jacksonville. He believes in the economy. He's got the experience. He's got the connections. You know, if there's some people that are upset or didn't like the way the campaign goes, sit down, have a coffee, have a beer, work it out. But let's put Jacksonville first and put growing jobs and growing our economy, which is his role at the chamber. So I would support 100% him going back to that role. And like Donna said in her victory speech, that they already talked, and he's willing to work with her. And I believe that. I think he's a good guy, and they'll work together.
Do you think this campaign was the real Daniel Davis, or maybe he listened to the consultants a little too much?
Yeah, I don't want to say that he wasn't real. I think he was real when he was knocking on those doors and himself at the doors talking to the citizens. You know, the debates and the public appearances. That's nerve-wracking. You know, I've been through that as a candidate, and sometimes it's tough to you try to appeal to everyone. You know, you got the far right, you got the moderate, you got the right of center. Everyone is in your party. You can't appeal to everyone. Every decision you make, someone might not agree with it. So it's tough. It's a stressful position to be in. And sometimes it maybe makes you come off as not genuine. But I don't think for a second that Daniel Davis is not genuine. I think he's a good person. He ran a good race and then just didn't win.
How do you bounce back from, look, he's always said this was a boyhood dream to become mayor, right? Mm-hmm. His boyhood dream didn't come true. Now what? How are you supposed to then bounce back from that and just pick up where you left off?
Well, you could gear up and do it again in 4 years. You could go back to the chamber and keep doing or keep making the momentum that he started over there with building our economy and bringing jobs to town. There's a lot of things he can do, and he's a resilient guy. He's a man of faith. He'll take it to prayer and spend time with his family, and Daniel will be fine.
I always thought it was interesting, Daniel, that he was he was aiming to take a $300,000 pay cut to become mayor. I always thought that was interesting. Did you ever kind of make you wonder why?
Yes, he was going to suffer resoundingly. I would say that was surprising to me that he was willing to take that much of a pay cut. Granted, being mayor of Jacksonville pays pretty well. I think he's at $230.
200, he's making 500, and it's a lot more headaches to be mayor of Jacksonville than head of the chamber.
It is, but I think something you said earlier is correct. He's always wanted to be mayor. I think he wanted to be mayor 8 years ago, but Lenny Curry kind of beat him to it, which is how he ended up at the chamber, I think, ultimately. This was his second kind of shot to be able to kind of get to that dream, but it didn't kind of pan out. The financial situation, I can't tell you why he decided to kind of go for an elected position, but I think ultimately when you seek the position to serve, regardless of whatever it pays, I think it's an enticing position to kind of run for.
So, Kevin, Daniel Davis didn't get a lot of endorsements from some establishment Republicans on council, right? One of them, Randy DeFore, and she texted me tonight a statement saying, "It is time to put aside our differences and unite behind our new mayor. I'm very proud of my city and who we have chosen as our next mayor." She was heavily critical of Daniel Davis just about a week ago when she gave her endorsement to Donna Deegan. So, how do we move forward between a new administration and a city council?
Yeah, honesty, putting out there what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, and being open-minded. Dialogue. We've got to work together. There's no choice about it. We can't just be in a stalemate and let the city just drift away because of politics. We got elected by the people. We owe the people our due diligence and our duty to try to move this city forward. So we can't do that if we don't work together. So how we do that, we'll find out together. She's going to take the lead in the executive branch, and we're going to get to know who her cabinet is and her staff, and we're all going to start getting to know each other, start building relationships, and start seeing what kind of synergy we have.
All right, about 8:43 right now. I'd like to welcome those of you joining us here on actionnewsjacks.com, our mobile app, Facebook, maybe Bookface, we'll call it that. Twittergram, I think we're everywhere, right? Instaface, welcome. Thank you for joining us right now. Tonight, the big story. Donna Deegan, the new mayor of Jacksonville. Say it again. Donna Deegan is the new mayor of Jacksonville. 52% of the vote. Daniel Davis, 48%. Even though she was out fundraised by $6 million, $8 million to $2 million. It didn't matter in this case. David beats Goliath, if you want to call it that. 52 to 48%. I'd like to welcome in right now Daniel Henry. He's the head, the Duval County chair of the Democratic Party. Kevin Carrico, Republican on City Council, District 4. We've been breaking it on down for the last 45 minutes or so. We have 15 minutes left. Guys, buckle up. We're not done. Right? Much more to break down here, all right? So we've been talking about the mayor's race. Let's move over to City Council, right? That's your specialty there, Kevin. So first and foremost, let's start with Chris Miller, the at-large Group 5. Chris Miller, a winner tonight. There you go, 52%. Charles Garrison, 48%. Surprise or no surprise?
No surprise to me. Colonel Miller has worked his tail off in this campaign. He's got all the endorsements. He's a hardworking guy. I think that military background really helps him appeal to crossover voters. Super positive. If you've ever met Chris, I don't think he's ever said a swear word. He's just a great guy. So I'm happy for him. This would be, kind of the surprise looking at the Deegan results. The surprise of the night. At the top of the ticket won that down ballot. We still had a Republican citywide that won by 4 points. And so what does that do to, right? Is it because he outfunded his opponent, outworked his opponent, or was his message just different than what we saw at the top of the ticket and that got him over the hump? Either way, I'm excited for Chris to come on board and work with him, and that solidifies all 5 of our at-large council members as Republicans.
Never said a curse word, ever?
Not Chris Miller,
never. How about dadgummit? Does that count?
Yeah, that counts. No, I'm Bobby Bowden.
Bobby Bowden.
Dadgummit is a part of everyday life.
Right. You know what his favorite drink was, by the way?
Bobby's?
Yeah, What do you think his favorite drink was?
Bobby seems like a beer guy, but I don't know. No, probably iced tea.
No, orange soda with peanuts.
Oh, yeah.
Peanuts?
Yes, peanuts in orange soda.
That's an Alabama thing, I think.
I'm just telling you, he started in, I forgot which, someone have to help me. His first coaching gig was in
West
Alabama.
Virginia?
Well, he was West Virginia, but he started in Alabama, too. Right. But I digress. Anyway, I digress.
That's the best part of my night, talking about Bobby Bowden.
Bobby Bowden. All right, so now, District 2. Mike Gay. Mike Gay is a winner tonight, 52%. Lindsey Brock, 48%. Another Republican down ticket wins. So when you look at that, Daniel, well, I guess what? It's 2 Republicans, right?
Yeah, it's 2 Republicans in that seat.
Jeez,
Solid Republican.
I'm seeing double. I'm seeing double here. Yeah. All right. So really, I guess I'll put this to you. So I guess you couldn't lose that one.
Yeah, we were going to have a Republican in that seat. That was a close race. I think a lot of us had our eye on that one to see who was going to be victorious. The outgoing council person, Al Ferraro, in that district was behind Mike Gay. So I think ultimately the support of the outgoing district councilman carries a lot of weight, and that's probably what got Mike across the finish line.
Right. Al Ferraro, the most liberal member of city council, at least according to ads that were put out by the Daniel Davis campaign
That
a
was
few
a
months
pack or
ago.
something. I don't think
That's
that was
something else.
That didn't work out well, did it? No, I don't
That
think.
dog don't hunt.
No, it didn't hunt. Not that well. All right, so District 7, Jimmy Peluso and Joseph Hogan. Here you go. Jimmy Peluso, 65% Democrat. And Joseph Hogan, Mike Hogan's kid, correct?
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. The supervisor of elections, outgoing supervisor of elections, 35%. It's a big win for a Democrat there. Now, all the districts are all different now, so I'm still learning it myself. So you help me, Daniel. What made this such a Democratic landslide?
It's a Democratic seat. It includes the historic districts together, so Riverside, Avondale, Ortega, Murray Hill, but also includes urban core like downtown, East Side, Springfield, Grant Park, areas around EWC. And Jimmy had the benefit of being able to be not only a candidate for a similar type seat 4 years ago, but he was in this race 6 months well before anyone else. He really put in the effort to really drive home his message as to why he should have gotten elected. That message really conveyed with voters that are in the urban core, and I think he was effective to get that win that you see right there.
So you're saying Hogan never had a chance, even if he had the NWO and Hulkamania behind him. Hogan wasn't going to win this one.
He tried his best, but I think ultimately Jimmy really put in the work to get the win.
All right, Reggie Gaffney Jr., District 8. We have another Gaffney on City Council, although technically he was already kind of there, but now he's like officially there. Beats Tamika Gaines Holly, 52 to 48%. So listen, I mean, you can't have City Council without a Gaffney, right?
That is right. That is right. So Junior's back. He's already been working on some things, working on that hotel over there on Harts Road that just seems to always cause the community anguish. There's the liquor store that was somehow approved next to a charter school that Reggie is fighting along with Jacoby Pittman, who I think they flip-flopped that territory in the redistricting change. So he's going to be a fighter like his dad, and he's got to separate himself as you have to do. We also have that with the Carlucci family. I know that race was decided in March, but we have a father and son going to be serving next to each other on this council with Matt, the at-large, and Joe representing District 5. So a lot of family ties here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, a lot of sunshine law questions. I wonder what Thanksgiving dinner is going to be like at the Carlucci's.
Yeah.
You guys don't need like a hat or something on that dais to separate those two.
I mean, it's curious how that's going to roll, right? Christmas dinner, they're together. I mean, I guess better just talking about football or something. District 9, did I talk about this one yet? Nope, no I didn't. Tyrone Clark Murray, 54%. Mike Muldoon, 46%. So we have another Democrat here. So that's a win for you, Daniel.
Resounding victory. Tyrone was outspent. I think she raised somewhere around $20,000. Mike Muldoon spent almost $200,000 in this race. But she has been a community activist. She has really put in the work before she was on council to really make sure that she brought true work ethic to her position. She knocked on every single door. It didn't matter if they were Democrat or Republican. She really wanted to make sure that everyone knew why she was running and that she was going to be a council member for everyone. And I think the results really showed that.
All right, District 11, Raul Arias against Raymond Day. Am I saying that correctly? Raymond?
Raymond.
It's Raymond. It's Raymond.
Yes, it's Raymond
Okay.
Day.
Okay, there you go. So Raymond Day. Well, the day is over for him. He lost 54% to 46%. Raul Arias, a business owner on the south side, he's a winner tonight. And that's is that your district? Is he in your district, Kevin?
That's my neighbor to the south.
Neighbor to the
When
south.
you cross over
Okay.
JTB, you get into District 11, and Raul fought his butt off too. He's a Navy veteran, business owner. I was out knocking on doors with him as well and supporting that campaign. I think he'll bring some new ideas and fresh youth to the council. And Raymond's a good guy. Everybody who knows Raymond has nothing negative to say about him. He fought a good fight, but at the end of the day, that was a Republican seat, and Raul carried it today, and we're proud of that, and we're going to welcome on the fourth floor.
He's going to bring some youth, right?
That's right.
A new youth.
Youth and
that's what
vigor.
we need.
New youth, yes. District 14. So here you go. We have Raymond.
Rockbond.
See, look at all these new guys. I got to learn all these new names. He's not the same old
You'll get
anymore.
used to it.
The H is a C.
No, Bill Goldifer's not walking through that door. right? So 53% to 47% for John Draper, another Democrat there. And by the way, he's not even wearing a suit. He's very casual there. I like the outfit. Very casual. He's kind of taking a cue from you, Daniel Henry.
Listen, I got to make sure I'm comfortable.
Would you say that was a surprise of the night for the district races?
Honestly, Rockman really put in the effort to go out and win this district. This was a FYI. This is a new district that was created through the redistricting case. This is an opportunity district that is a third Democrat, third MPA, third Republican. It's really one of those swing districts that you really have to put in the effort to win. He was running against someone I don't think was the best representation of what that district obviously looks like now. And I think he's going to be a great addition to City Council.
All right, so speaking of City Council overall, a lot of new faces, new places, we're talking about it. One of the aspects of having new districts there is people have been drawn out, drawn in. Currently, out of 19 members, only 2 are going to be women. That's a story, right? Is that correct? 2 women?
That's correct.
That's not good.
You have Jacoby Pittman coming back, and then Clark Murray getting her first official full term.
Yeah, what's your assessment of that? Jacksonville is more than 50% women, and only got 2 women on City Council.
That's a tough one, for the ladies. Jacoby's going to represent. She will. That's one thing she's going to carry it strong. And Jarwana Clark Murray as the only other female perspective, that's going to be tough for them. I don't know what to say to that other than got to get more female candidates out there and running and on both sides of the aisle.
Daniel.
Well, we had female candidates that are running on our side too. Some of them didn't make it across the finish line in the first runoff in some of these contested primaries that we saw. But I think ultimately, when you kind of looked at our candidates that were running, it looked like Jacksonville. It looked like the community. It was very much diverse. I hope in the future when we have candidates that are running, regardless if they're a Republican or a Democrat, that we get some more diversity in terms of gender on council as well, because I think that is a problem.
Speaking of diversity, 6 African Americans, I believe that's sort of what we started with before all the new districts, right? We kind of keep the same number. It's kind of changed, but here we are at 6 still, which is about percentage-wise a representation of the African American population in Jacksonville, correct?
Right.
And we were at 7.
We were at 7 before.
We're at 7, excuse me. Okay, so now we're at 6.
Joyce Morgan. No, it wasn't that. It was.
I thought it was 6.
7 was an African American in Reggie Gaffney, and now it's a white male and Jimmy Peluso.
Oh, yes. That's the new 7.
All right, so there you go. So down 1. So, I mean,
it's Sam coming off council.
So the unintended consequence of the new district lines is 1 fewer African American.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of fears going into this cycle with these new maps that we were going to lose a lot of African Americans on council. I think that obviously with the results that you're seeing right now didn't kind of manifest. I would always want to make sure that we have representation on council, definitely having more Black or African Americans that are represented there. But ultimately, these seats that the city ultimately agreed to with the court are representative of the communities that live there, and they've elected the candidates that they want to represent them.
And we have 5 Democrats there for you, Kevin, to work with. Now, if that being said, you still have a supermajority on city council, although you have some that could go back and forth, like a Carlucci or something like that. So how do you see this all playing out now?
Well, it's good to have the supermajority. It's good to know that we have that in our pocket, just in case for some reason we have some kind of radical ideas coming out of the Deegan camp, which we discussed.
You're still sticking to that, aren't you? You think there could be some radical ideas?
She's a Democrat. You never know.
Well,
I don't think that's fair.
He's throwing shade at you.
Listen, I'm not accepting this shade because I have the receipts.
We're almost home.
She has shown consistently in this entire campaign, and I think the voters just decided my way on that one, that she is a unity candidate that's going to bring people together. Her administration is going to look that way. And I think this whole idea that she's some radical person is quietly going to go down the wayside when you see people come together when she gets sworn in.
All right, Kevin, final thoughts on the night when it comes to Daniel Davis losing on a historic evening in Jacksonville.
Well, on the night as a whole, obviously, I'm disappointed and surprised. Came in here probably a little overconfident before we met. I predicted a 2-point win, and that didn't happen tonight. So, I am happy for all the candidates that won, though. As someone who has been a candidate, who has sweated out a primary and a general and gone through this, this night is just great for everyone who won, and their families. So I want to congratulate everyone on both sides of the aisle. Tell them to soak it up, and tomorrow let's get to work. Let's start planning for the future. So, yes, disappointed, surprised, still a supporter and a friend of Daniel Davis, and will be forever.
Daniel Henry, you're the winner. You get the final word.
Jackson was the winner. But I'm excited, elated. I probably will forget a many adjectives I could use, but I think this election result is a watershed moment for a lot of the work that a lot of our candidates put in to try to get across the finish line. I can tell you that Donna, Joyce, Jimmy, Tyrona, Rockman, they put in so much effort to win their races, and it's satisfying to see the voters respond to that in a positive way to get them into elected office. And I'm excited about the new change they'll be able to bring to Jacksonville and how we can become a better city.
All right. Daniel Henry, Kevin Carrico, both of you, thank you so much for joining us. You're on actionnewsjacks.com.
What do you say we shake it out for the people?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, there you go. See, I love it.
High road, high road.
Keep you guys close enough together for the most of the evening, you can become friends. How about that?
There you go.
I feel good. I think I brought you together. I'm like Dr. Phil.
Thanks for having us, man. Thanks for having us.
All right, guys. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody watching us on actionnewsjacks.com, our mobile app, Facebook, Twitter, Bookface, Instaface, MySpace, all spaces. Have a good night.